So for those of you who don't know, my birthday is this week. So as per my new tradition, I'm making a video that's a little outside the norm. I promise that it won't be a Ratchet and Clank game every time, but I just had to talk about this. As suggested by me, in this video I will be giving Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart a red hot go. So I finally got my hands on a PlayStation 5. Only took several months and $200 Australian over retail price, but I got it. And the very next day I went out and bought Rift Apart. Ratchet and Clank holds a special place in my heart. It was the game that got me into games and arguably nerd culture as a whole. I am a Ratchet and Clank fanboy, but also something of a purist. The original is my favourite despite being mechanically inferior to its sequels, and the PlayStation 4 reboot left me disappointed. Luckily, Rift Apart abandons the PS4 reboot and continues the continuity of the original timeline. But that's enough gushing about the past. How does Rift Apart measure up? Well, I love it. I haven't had this much fun playing a video game in a good long time. The platforming isn't as much a priority as it was in older games, but there have been some changes. On the negative side, there are no more helipack high jumps or long jumps. That second one really hindered my movement until I unlocked the rocket skates for Ratchet. On the positive side, there's a new dodge mechanic, which you can use to make long jumps, go through contextual barriers, and dodge enemy attacks. While the swing shot is still around, more often than not you're given these rift points that you use to teleport, and while it is just a fancier swing shot, it is a much fancier swing shot. I haven't really gotten too deep into the weapons system yet. My go-tos are the starting pistol and the shotgun. However, I am experimenting with weapons as I go, and they are on par with the rest of the series, without any obvious useless weapons like some older games could have. The Raritanium upgrade system from the reboot is back, and I'm glad to see it. That was a genuinely good system, and I'm glad to see it return. This may be more a comment on the PlayStation 5 than Rift Apart itself, but I am amazed at what the new controllers are capable of. Every weapon has 2 firing modes depending on whether you half or full pull the trigger. And you know which one you're doing as there is a distinctive click between the 2 modes. It plays sounds out of the inbuilt speaker for some extra immersion, and it adds little details, like every step you take in the game has the controller rattle a little on whatever side the character's foot is going down. I don't expect that every PlayStation 5 game will use the controller's functionality as much as Rift Apart does, but I'll enjoy it while I can. I'm playing the game on the default difficulty, and I have died more than a couple of times. Remember when I said that there's a new dodge mechanic? Well, you'd better learn it quickly because the game is balanced around you using it with otherwise difficult to evade laser attacks and AoE bomb drops that you may not even have time to run away from the old-fashioned way. The grunts are reasonably tough, needing a few good shots to go down, and the bosses lose health at a fair rate so long as you use the right weapons and hit the right spots. Oh yeah, headshots are a thing in Ratchet and Clank now. In the old days, any projectile that hit an enemy would do the same damage regardless of where it hit. But now enemies take more damage if you manage to shoot them in the sensitive bits, usually the head.
That one.
You should have gone for the head.
At time of writing, I've not visited any planets that feel like a classic Ratchet and Clank level. The first only has 2 paths, one of which is completely optional. The swamp and archive levels are more open to facilitate the collectibles, and the Zircon station is just a linear path to an arena. On that, the arena is back. No arena in the PS4 reboot was low on my list of complaints, but it was still a gripe. Also, the collectibles are fine. They mark all of them on your map from the get-go, so the challenge is more in figuring out how to get to them. The rewards are mostly armor sets, which I don't really use because I don't want to obscure the character designs, but I have a feeling that I'm gonna have to suck it up or hit a difficulty spike at some point. Lastly, the story. I won't be spoiling anything here, but I will be talking generally about the characters, so be warned. Ratchet and Clank are separated at the start of this game and both find new travel companions. Clank winds up in the hands of another Lombax, Rivet, who I like very much. She's got this confident attitude about her that overlays this determination and exhaustion with the war she's been fighting her whole life. Ratchet meets a small robot named Kit, who has a fairly generic character flaw, but is still fun to be with anyway. You really get the sense that Kit is what Clank would have been had he not been given a purpose directly after creation. The most underwhelming aspect of the story is Ratchet and Clank themselves. Since we're following the original timeline, they've both basically been arced out by this point, so I don't expect any sort of change to take place. Honestly though, I don't really mind sidelining their story to focus on the new characters, especially given that they're at least more interesting than they were in the reboot. So that's Rift Apart, a return to form after the stale corporate mess that was the PS4 reboot. It's got intense combat, more fluid movement, and it makes the most of the hardware at its disposal. From ice cold to red hot, I give Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart a rating of red hot. And that's all I got for this episode of Red Hot Go. I'd like to thank my patrons, Orion Tran, Lars Espen, Data52, Gemman5, Lemon Shark, Pixcalibur, Alberto Cruz, Tyler Bennett, Tenka, Jeremy Pashik, Fireclaw, Soren, Christopher Wang, and Will. If you too would like to support the channel further, consider becoming a patron yourself. Thank you all very much for watching, and I will see you next time. I can't believe I got through that whole video without mispronouncing Ripped a Fart. Ah, crap.